Well, hey there, Mama, and welcome back to the Mom's Overcoming Overwhelm podcast, episode number 217. I'm Emily McDermott, and I'm here beside you on this journey as we work together to declutter your home, head, and heart. Very excited about bringing you this conversation today with Jess Przulj. And Jess is a habit stacking coach. She's the host of the Habit Stacking Mom podcast, and she's the founder of the Habit Stacked Home program. She's also a mom of 3 girls, and she helps moms reset routines and organize their daily habits. And I love Jess's approach. We talk today about what habit stacking is, why it's so important for overwhelmed moms, talk about core stack frameworks, her restack method, and also her weekly reset method. So we get into the nitty gritty. If you are a habits geek like I am, you are going to love this. Really help you to understand ways that you can get out of overwhelm now by reclaiming control of your days and creating the space to show up for what matters most, which is what we're all about. So without further ado, please grab that notebook and pen and let's dive into today's conversation with Jess Przulj. Hey Mama, are you tired of your cluttered home and mile-long to-do lists but are too overwhelmed to know where to start? Do you lack the time and motivation and don't think you'll ever conquer the clutter? You're in the right place. I'm Emily, wife, boy mom, and declutter coach who has overcome the overwhelm in my own life through decluttering and simplifying. I believe every mom deserves the peace that comes from a clutter-free home. Ready to get your life back? Let's declutter your home, head, and heart together. Well, hey, Jess, thanks so much for coming on the Moms Overcoming Overwhelm podcast. I am very excited for our chat today.
Same here. Thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
Yeah, so you and I connected through our podcast to profit coaching program that I took, and then I was a coach for, and learning about all things growing and scaling podcasts. But the thing that I attached to right away with your brand is that I am a self-proclaimed habits geek. And I'm like, oh, she has an entire podcast about habit stacking. This is so exciting.
I
And
love
then,
it.
my husband is like, what is so exciting? I'm like, you just don't understand. Like, this is like the coolest thing ever. So I love that I have a fellow business bestie that we can geek out about habits. So thank you for being here. And I'd love it if you could tell us about you and your family, kind of how you serve moms, and then maybe like one thing you like to do for fun.
Yeah, I am so excited. I could geek out about habits all day long, clearly. I'm a mom of 3. I have 3 daughters, so we have a lot of estrogen in our household over here. And thank goodness I've been married to my husband for 11 years. So he is now very well versed and he's the best girl dad I could ever have dreamed of. He's just one of those guys. And so the fun part about us is he's super involved in the extracurriculars of my daughters. Like they love softball and gymnastics. And so that's kind of our world right now, but he's knee deep in it. And I know a lot of families don't always have that. And so I'm very blessed to have him. So that's our family time. We go out and we went to the field last night for softball and it was the best weather. Not sure how your weather is by you, but ours is like 68 and has that cool like fall and like here it comes. So that's what we really love doing together. And I love pouring into my kids and supporting them through what they're really interested in. And so that's our world, literally our world in a nutshell right now. And we have let's see, 8, 6, and 3-year-olds. So we're kind of in that season of motherhood where they're not fully independent of me, like at all. So we're really busy. But prior to motherhood, I was an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, actually. And I started in the salon industry, believe it or not. That was my entire world. And then I got pregnant and I couldn't keep it up. I couldn't be a business owner and be in the motherhood world. It was quite a whirlwind. I know you have some children, and so you probably can relate to that feeling of motherhood. And it took me by storm. But as a salon owner, I went home and I got stuck because you don't just jump back into a clientele. So there I was at home dealing with mom life. Like, what is this? It was just like they let me leave the hospital with this thing and I'm supposed to know what to do with it. And so I went home. I was trying to take care of this baby and I just was drowning. I think like a lot of moms probably can relate to a lot of people in general just see us with all these kids and we're supposed to just know what we're doing. And newsflash, we don't. We don't have any clue what we're doing. So that was where I just knew I had to do something different. And this whole new chapter has completely opened up to me now and podcasting in the world of routines and habits. And I'm in love with it. I love it.
Oh, and I love how you talk about having the time to be able to pour into your kids, to be able to have that quality time with your husband, and to have that family life and dynamic that you want. And what you teach allows us to free up the time to be able to do that and free up the mental capacity because we're not having to think about everything all the time and then think about the same things
Yeah.
the next hour or the next day. And I absolutely love that. Well, given the ages of your kids and being in the thick of it, mine are a little bit older. I have a 7 and 9-year-old boy. So I'm surrounded by the testosterone in this house. I'm a little outnumbered, but by especially I'm very much outnumbered by Legos. That is definitely true. But I would love it if you could tell us about a time, and it could be recent or it could be maybe after that initial postpartum period where you're trying to figure out mom life, where you were feeling completely overwhelmed, and just kind of set the stage with what was going on at the time. When were you like, okay, this is not working, like something needs to change? And what were you able to do to make those changes?
The funny thing is that I have the story. Let me tell you, my father was in construction, and so I have a love for homes and making pretty things in the house, but that doesn't go well with motherhood. So in the fall of 2023 was the year that we decided to buy the house next door and flip it. And I have at the time, I guess I got to go back to that. I think I had a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old, so this baby needed me all night long. My toddler still needed me, and my oldest was going into kindergarten. Like, can we get a harder season of motherhood? New kindergarten routines, baby needs me all night long, so I'm not sleeping. Oh, and let's flip the house next door. So we gutted this house to the studs and then we rebuilt it back up. And we did it in 5 months. But when I tell you drowning was like stapled on my forehead, I couldn't keep a single thing going at home. My nanny was helping me. My mom was in on the investment. So she's over at the flip. She's not nannying at home for me. So this season was like the first time in my life that I realized, oh, I can't do everything. I cannot manage the life that I chose. This moment, this season was supposed to be, oh, let's make some quick cash, right? Flip a house. That's what I would have loved to do prior to motherhood. So that season was unreal. And then my dog died. And it was like that choking moment that went, okay, this is not the next chapter of my life. We are not flipping another house. We are not doing this. I am going to get it together after this flip and figure out what does the next chapter of my life look like? Because now I'm a mom. I'm not going back to the hair salon to build up this huge clientele. So what is it that I'm going to do? I don't have time. I can't keep the laundry going. I can't keep the dishes going. All of these things. And it was in that moment that I like kind of pulled from well, I need more time. How do I find more time? Oh, I need to be more efficient. And so that was where this like brainchild came from. But I have read Atomic Habits, but I did like 10 years ago. And of course, back then I'm like, this is great. I love habits. I love everything about habit stacking, but it didn't apply to me in motherhood. So that was where I started to realize maybe I could take the principles of that and what the point of it is and make it make sense for my life in motherhood.
And I've spoken to several guests that are habits experts or time management experts, and so much of the literature, I mean, I love me some James Clear, but so much of the literature is male centric. So
Yeah.
it's coming from the perspective of men, sometimes single men. And I just love that there are now more, not only female voices to kind of look at how we manage our energy and time as women, which is very different than men, but also from the perspective of moms. Because, like you said, no one gives us the manual when you leave the hospital. I have a friend who's pregnant with her first, and she's like, so, what's it? I go, like, you just don't understand why they're letting you leave. Like, you don't.
You don't. No, you don't.
You're like, are you sure? Are you sure about this? But I think that that is so humbling to kind of like be in that season where like, okay, yeah, this is not going the way I want. Like something needs to change. Let me use this idea of habits and habit stacking and be able to have it work for my actual mom life, which is so empowering, I think, because a lot of times we can feel defeated by just always feeling behind, just constantly feeling behind, like we're never going to be quote unquote on top of anything. And then the thing that makes me sad, because it was me for so much of my early motherhood, is I was just missing it. I was just missing my whole motherhood because I was feeling resentful about not having enough time or feeling like, why can't I just have a moment to myself? I have these children crawling all over me, you know? And so I love your work because it is actually allowing women to shape and create the lives that they want so they can have that presence and actually be the moms that they want to be. So I love that mission, then that
Yeah.
passion that you have for that.
We're so isolated. We're so alone because even if we have our husbands, our moms, neighbors around us, we're still the ones at night. We're still the ones in the morning. Some of our husbands go off to provide if we're home with kids. Or maybe you're the one that's like, I have to do both. I have to go to work. I have to come home and do. We just have a hard time feeling like anybody can relate to that. And yet we still were somebody before mom. I was somebody. I had dreams, I had goals, I had visions. Not everybody may have the business and entrepreneurial side, but they had a vision of what they wanted. And then all of a sudden we get handed that baby and we're like, good luck. Oh, okay, great. But now what? How do I go back to her? She was really important to me and who I was. That's who I was. And now I'm not her. So how do we blend and melt them together? How do we bring the two of them to be the next best version of who we are as women? So it's very important to me in
Yeah.
my life work. Like it just is.
Yeah, because it's going down to your core identity, not only as, okay, yes, I'm a mom, but like you said, before just the mom, you were just the person.
Yeah.
And being able to reclaim that and kind of rediscover that. And I would love to kind of just have a little primer on habit stacking for those that may not be familiar and just understanding like why is it important as overwhelmed moms? Why does it help us save time or to reclaim that energy? Like, is it just we're just doing a bunch of things on top of each other? Like, what what is it? So can you explain the basics, please?
Yeah, it's technically like doing a bunch of stuff on top of each other, but really what you're focused on is doing the right things connected together. So habit stacking is about time saving. When you're able to be more efficient, you can do more in less time. What I find with a lot of moms that are completely overwhelmed is they lack direction. What should I put my time into? What should I focus on? I have to do this, I have to do that. It's like that ping pong ball or ADHD where we're like, I don't know what to focus on. And so when we use the technique of habit stacking, it like hones in and laser focuses us on the important tasks, which then will ultimately picture like squeezing together. It'll open up time in the middle for us to go, oh, wow, I didn't know I could have this extra time. Now what do I do? Bingo, that's where we do the things that were important to us, whatever that is. So efficiency is what this is. And we're not trying to do more things. I'm not asking you to go out there and say, how much more can I do? This is not productivity. Efficiency is about choosing the right tasks and doing them quicker. So we're doing them differently because when you're taking something that you're already doing on a daily basis, so let's talk about a couple of those anchors. I call them an anchor because it's reliable, it's predictable. I do it without thinking. So my brain doesn't have to think about a brand new routine. It just says, oh, I make coffee every day. I like coffee. I drink it. That's an anchor. It's reliable. It's predictable. What can I do next? What would be the next thing in this morning routine, likely when you're having your coffee, that I could do next? That I could do then another thing and then maybe another thing. And oh, maybe I could repeat that every single day. Now you have created a habit stack. They're stacking these habits that are very predictable and reliable, and we practice them because our brain loves patterns. We love to do things that are not making us think so hard. They're coming out of the subconscious mind, and we're like, I have to think through this. No, Habits are something we do without thinking. So habit stacking is just taking something we're already doing and attaching something new that we want to do inside of that routine, essentially.
Yeah, that's really helpful. I was just thinking before we started recording, I had come home and there were some different things I needed to do. And so I like went to the basement to get one thing. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I need something from upstairs. So I go all the way upstairs and then I grab the other thing. I'm like, wait, but I needed that other thing from the basement. And then by the time I've gone up and down the stairs like 5 times, I'm super tired. And I'm like, wait, I could have just maybe planned a little bit, figured out all the things I needed from the basement and
Yeah.
just bring it upstairs. So this is just kind of reminding me of a lot of times if we don't have that direction or kind of understand how things would logically go together, then we end up wasting a lot of our energy just doing the things that kind of don't make any sense. And you were mentioning anchors, which I do understand. And there are those kind of things like I always brush my teeth or I'm always, eating breakfast. But what is the difference between that and sort of creating what would be you would call like a core stack? Like what makes a habit stack a core stack as opposed to just like a different kind of habit stack?
Sure. So the way I like to look at it is there's a million ways you can do mom life, or we could simplify it. Let's just take what we do and throw it into some categories that are aligned, that they all make sense together. So I call them the vital pillars because they're the things that keep our homes running. Those 5 pillars are your schedule. I got to know my schedule and where I'm supposed to be and when. When am I dropping kids off? When are the doctor's appointments? When are the softball games? I got to know the schedule. The second pillar is your home. How do you maintain your home? Deep cleaning, upgrading daily. I don't care what it is, but how do you do it? Your food pillar is the third one. You have to feed your family an awful lot in a week. Do you have a plan for that? That is a very important pillar. Then we have our self-care. You are very important, mama. You are important. So, how do you refill your tank? And the fifth is your finances. We cannot do anything in this world without money. Just we can't. So, what do we do that has to do with money? So, these 5 vital pillars are how I have basically simplified, in a nutshell, majority of what I do on a daily basis. I know there's the people out there that would say, yeah, but I do and I do. Right. But these are the main ones that I believe we can kind of all agree on that, yeah, those are really important. So then you take those pillars and we say, okay, let's create some stacks of habits, some things that I need to do inside of that pillar. I love to use the food pillar because most of us can relate to the food. If I had to stack some habits together, how do you feed your family? How do you buy your groceries? And when I say how, I mean, where do you write the things you're low on? Where do you go to check if you're out of something? Does your family have any idea of what that looks like? This is like the thing we do all the time. When do you prep your food? How do you prep your food? Where do you grocery shop? These are the things that I kind of get people thinking about because it's like, oh, I guess I've never really thought of that. Well, let's stack those tasks together and make you more efficient so that the number one problem of what do I feed my family tonight goes away. And now you have a plan behind it because you've thought through your inventory list. Oh, I know what that is. Oh, I know exactly how I place my grocery order or when I go to the grocery store. These are the things that I'm trying to get moms to wrap their brain around. And then I call them a core stack because it's not a routine. See, a routine is something you do in the morning and you do in the evening and you do in the end of the day. If you took your end of the day and put it in the morning, that would throw a lot of things off, right? So your core routines are the routines of your daily life. A core stack can be picked up. So that food stack can be moved to Monday morning or Friday afternoon or Saturday morning. Wherever you need it to be and live, that stack is flexible. It's not fixed like your core routine. That's the main difference.
Yeah, that's really helpful because, for example, at the time of recording, it's going to be Labor Day weekend. And normally I do things on Monday, but we're going to be out of town. So, okay, I'm going to take that stack of things that I do together, which for me is, ordering the groceries, going to the compost recycling center, going to Costco, picking up the groceries on the way back. So it's like everything having to do with food and a little bit with recycling and composting. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's like all together. And then instead of that being on Monday, this upcoming week, that's going to be on Tuesday, but that's okay because I'm able to shift the stack and just being able to do that. And another thing I want to mention is it's really helped me to have that be visible to my husband. So he understands, like, meaning on our Google calendars, that he understands like when this is happening. And so
Mhm.
he'll be like, oh, okay, I see you're going to Costco on Tuesday. So he knows to get whatever he wants me to get on the list, on our shared list before that. But a lot of times it's like you said, if the mom doesn't even have an understanding of how this all works, that's one issue. But once you actually put that stack together, being able to communicate that with your
Yes.
spouse, so you're able to be like, okay, just so you know, I'm having some Google Calendar when it says like food stack or whatever you want to call it. That means I'm going to the grocery store. I need you to tell me before I'm ordering what you need. And then, oh, okay. And so then it isn't you're running out of things or your kid wanted some kind of random special snack in their lunchbox and you don't have it. So I guess my one of the questions just having to do with that is what do you recommend once mamas get those stacks kind of like set, at least initially, as far as like communicating that with their family to make sure that everyone's on the same page?
So for me and my house, it's the communication board. That's you got to find a central hub to put, whether it's literally putting your stack, laminate it, put it up on the fridge, whatever that is, wherever that hub is in your home. It's where you're communicating that schedule, what's coming, what's not coming, when the appointments are, who's in charge of them. You've got to have some form of communication habit going on between you and your husband and your children because they can also learn to have it stack right alongside of you. Baby steps, age appropriate, obviously, but you need to have that hub where you're communicating the things. When are we ordering? So my husband, we have a Costco list and I just take a picture of it and send it to him. If I'm not home, I say, go get the list. He knows where that list is. So once you've learned what your stacks are, then you need to figure out what pieces of it he actually needs to know. Because we don't need to give him the mom woman version. We need to give him the male version. So what goes on my planner versus what goes on the communication board is what's relevant to him.
Yeah, that's really helpful, especially, I have two readers, so it makes it easy. And I just started putting the meal plan for the week on the board because I did not like them showing up to the dinner table and be like, "What's this?" I'm just
Oh
like,
my goodness,
I'm just
yes.
like over it. I'm just over it. So I'm like, okay, we have this little whiteboard. It's nothing fancy right now, but it's something. And I just put what the plan is. And so now they're like, what's for dinner? I'm like, look at the board, look at the board. So just like you said, I'm not overwhelming them by sharing my shopping list with my kids. It's just more, this is what they need to know and being able to make it easy to get the information that they need and that my husband needs so that things can run a little smoother. Can you give us maybe one example from like the self-care pillar, what like a stack would look like from the self-care pillar?
Yeah, so the self-care pillar is a non-negotiable, and that is the number one stack moms ignore and they leave off. So what I would recommend is you find the window that is the least disturbed. Now, for me personally, I find that to be my morning block. I live, eat, and breathe. My morning is for me. It is mine. Stay out of it. And my kids know that ear pods are in. Don't talk to mom. She's not going to listen anyway. So it's the signal to my kids. My husband's not home. So for me, I like to wake up early. It's not for everybody. So you have to find the block that's not disturbed for you. You also have to determine, is it fitness? Is it quiet? Is it meditation? Is it bathing? Is it showering? I don't know what self-care is to you because it is different for everybody. For me, it's fitness. I have to put my fitness first. It's a non-negotiable. I get up at 5:30, I work out. I come downstairs. So when I say habit stacking, my anchor is letting my dog out. That's the anchor. I go downstairs, I let him out, I fill my water bottle back up, I put my pods in, and I go in and I do my workout in my bedroom. I don't even leave my house. Kids are sleeping, we're good. From there, I transition into my grooming stack where I go upstairs, I take my shower, I put my makeup on, I get dressed. Nobody's coming over, but I'm getting dressed. I'm putting my hair and makeup on. That shift changed everything for me. And that those two things, that grooming stack and that fitness stack, have become this like massive stack for me. But I'll tell you what, that 2 hours for me changes the entire trajectory of my day. So at 7 o'clock in the morning, when those babies start waking up, or if they're up earlier, they get their iPads, it's not your time yet, it's mommy's time. I come downstairs, I'm just a different mom. I'm happy, I'm in a different place. Then I do my podcast, I put that in, I listen to podcasts while I make breakfast for them. Only one ear that time, so I can actually hear them now. I do let them come into that. But that's the way that I build self-care into my day. And I do that 5 days a week, and occasionally I'll add a little bit of that on the weekend. And I just repeat that over and over. But you have to find what works for you.
Yeah, and having that self-awareness about, okay, these are the non-negotiables. These are the game-changing things for me that I know that I'm showing up better. And also, you really notice when you don't do them and how you show up when you don't do them.
Yes.
For me, lately, it's been with the weather nicer, going on a morning walk. And my husband right now is able to help the boys kind of get ready or making sure that they're getting ready. And that has been a game changer for me, just kind of like moving my body, being able to kind of have that time where I'm able to think. And that, like you said, changes the trajectory of my entire day. And I would not be showing up as the same person otherwise. So I think it's good. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it needs to be filled with the things that are really like impactful for you. And there's not like any rule that a stack has to be like 10 things, right? They could probably be like at least one or two. I guess two.
A
Two's the
couple.
minimum.
A couple things. Yeah, I would consider two to be important because you do need to stack it to something. But I think the most important thing in that is that it needs to be repeatable. So my suggestion to you would be like, don't meditate this day, bathe on this day. You want to try to find a couple things that you do and you repeat because like we talked about, we like habits and habits need to be repeated to become subconscious. If you can't repeat it, then there's nothing to measure. Like, is it working? I don't know because I change it every day. So what's important is that the pattern is the pattern. Then you determine if you're going to repeat that 3 times, 4 times, 5 times in a week to see what the result is. Is it making me feel better? If not, tweak it, modify it, find the thing that makes you go, wow, I feel like me again.
Yeah, and one of the things that I do really like that James Clear says is about like if you find a random day something comes up because something always comes up, right? So you're doing your fitness stack or you're doing your grooming stack, and for some reason you're not able to do the full stack as you originally intended. One of the quotes that I love from him is change the scope, keep the schedule, or something to that effect, meaning you know when the stack is going to happen. And if for some reason you have to adjust it slightly, you don't have to throw it all out. You don't have to be like, ah, well, this isn't working. I can't do this because I get interrupted. Just if you have to change the scope, it's okay. But knowing your brain, knowing the predictability of this is when I'm doing the certain thing. And yeah, if you might have to either tweak it overall or just know, yeah, this is needing to change this one time, that's okay. I can go to the next day that the stack is going to happen. We can try it again. And having more of that curiosity rather than judgment, like, oh, what's wrong with me? I can't, do the thing I wanted to do. Just like, oh, that's interesting. This derailed me. That's okay. I can come back. So I didn't prep you for most of these questions, I
That's
noticed.
okay. I roll with
I know,
it.
I appreciate that. But how do you encourage your mamas to embrace that kind of flexible mindset when it comes to the habit stacks, knowing that a lot of times things are going to get interrupted or derail, but that doesn't mean we have to just throw up our hands and say, well, this isn't working, and then go back to like the chaos of our previous lives.
Yeah, great question. And let me tell you, I have the perfect thing. It's the restack method.
Yeah.
It's what it is. I teach them that we have to first assess the problem. Once we're done with assessing it, we know what's wrong. We're going to build a stack. That's the first 2 steps of the restack method. The second 2 steps, step 3 and 4, well, that is going to be reviewing and practicing. Because if you don't practice the stack, you don't know if it's working. So when you practice and you get into the mindset of practicing and testing, did it work? Did it not work? What should I modify? We review that and we modify it for next week. So I get them in this cycle of let's build it, let's test it, let's review it. Now let's go back and assess what was the problem? Did it fix it? Did it not? So it's the practice mindset. And the thing is, as moms, that's what you want your kids to watch. That's what you want them to see. Mommy failed. That didn't work. Let's try this. Come on, guys, let's try this. They just need to know that failing's a part of the process. It's a part of the journey of life. So the sooner you can attach to that and realize, like, look, if I just do this and it doesn't work and modify it and do it again, that's the technique that I'm trying to teach is habit stacking is the tool, but the restack method is the technique. It's the thing that's going to help you get into the right mindset to realize that this is not a pass or fail. It's not. It's a practice makes progress.
Yeah, I love that as far as like modeling for our kids. And I did something a little different. Our mornings were a little chaotic getting the kids out the door, despite my like, okay, I'm going to tell them when they are done with their tablet time for the morning. I'm going to give them plenty of time to put on their shoes. It was just a struggle. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just do the time limit on the Kindle Fire so that it just shuts off automatically. Why didn't I think of this sooner? And so it's been amazing because it just sort of shuts off. And my youngest was like, well, why did you do that? And I said, I just, I didn't want you guys like getting mad and yelling at me. And he's like, oh, okay.
They said, there's the example. Here's the reason. This is why I have my kids turn off, they get their iPads taken
Yeah.
away at 8 a.m. Why? Because
Yeah.
if we go anywhere past that, we're late every day. It happens. It's just figuring out that solution.
Yeah, and then when you're able to make these small tweaks and have it be such a big difference, I mean, talk about the mood of the day. Just like the yelling and the screaming and almost missing the bus and just sort of having that disruption to our nervous system is just, looking like you said at, okay, kind of what's working, what's not working, what are some creative ways that I could think about this, which I know we're going to talk about how people can kind of join your community or learn more from you. But having somebody else to kind of talk through it with you and being like, okay, well, have you considered this? Like, have you considered just having it shut off on its own? And it's like, huh, I never
Oh my
thought of
goodness. What?
that.
That's
What a
brilliant.
concept. I know. So anyway, and I think it's just important, like you said, because motherhood is so isolating, just being able to have that community of people that get it and be like, okay, that, oh, I never thought of that, or oh, that's a great idea. So I really love that. And before we talk about how people connect with you, I would love if you could explain the weekly reset concept because we talked about core stacks, we talked about the restack method, and now I just want to kind of understand like what is this weekly reset? Because I think of reset like resetting my space, like I do like a
Yes.
kitchen reset and I do a bedroom reset, but I want to hear about this weekly reset that you talk about.
Yeah, so I think of all of these pillars and all these things I talked about in five habits. Like these are the five habits that I'm trying to teach moms to master. And the cornerstone, most pivotal habit that they have to learn is the weekly stacking session. You have to learn to plan. It's the planning habit. So many times I recognize the pattern for a mom because she's like, "Oh, I did this and then I did that and I did that and I wasn't sure and I did that." And I'm going, "Well, did you make a plan for it?" Well, no, I know I need to. Yeah, that's the need right there. I need you to take time and dump the pieces of the puzzle on the table, please. On a weekly basis, look at the puzzle, pull the pieces together that match, that are the border. What's the border? What's the fixed things you have to do this coming week? What are the pieces that go with the blue and the reds and the green? Where are those pieces? Because those are ultimately leading you to making the choices that happen in your week. That's what happens in your week is the puzzle pieces got pulled into places that maybe they did or didn't belong. And so once we understand that, oh, that's what I'm doing every week is I'm dumping the puzzle box out, I'm looking at my planner, I'm making a plan for next week. That's the cornerstone habit. Then we do that restack, we come back and we assess it in the next week. We look backwards and we say, did that work? No, it didn't. What can I modify? This is the habit I try to teach and I just could drill into moms' heads is if you could just learn to become a planner. Not the perfect planner, but just to some extent having some resemblance of a plan, you will be blown away with how much more time you have and what you can actually fit in your week because you had a plan and you followed it. Because you checked it the next week and the next week and the next week. So it's like the habit that I completely lean into.
And to use your puzzle analogy, I don't do a lot of puzzles. They're kind of not my thing, but I am a person that always looks for the corner pieces first.
Aha. Oh.
Some people don't. They just kind of jump in and I'm like, "No, I need the frame. Like I need to understand like what I'm working within." So
Mhm.
that kind of makes me think of like you're looking at all the puzzle pieces, you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy." But then you're finding kind of those corner ones that are going to anchor like the whole week and what that's going to look like. And then it's just a lot easier to fill the rest of the things in. And I also love instead of just like barreling forward into the next week, like, oh my gosh, it's Monday again, and we have
Yeah.
softball and we have this and that you're able to look back and actually reflect and say, okay, first of all, let's celebrate. Like, what went well?
Yeah.
What are the
How'd it
mom
go?
wins? Yeah, like what actually helped me? And then also, like, what needs to change? What needs to be tweaked? And to have that awareness, because otherwise, if you're just barreling through, then you're not really having any of that assessment piece, which I find is really important because unless I'm having the conversations with my husband, which sometimes honestly before bed, it's like he's not wanting to have a conversation about like what's working and not working in my routines, you know.
Really? He
But
doesn't
I know
want.
he doesn't really care much about that. But it can be kind of like no one else is paying attention to it but us. Like there's no one, I mean, unless they're working with you as a coach or something, there's no one that's going to be checking in and being like, okay, well, how did this routine go? And like, how did this habit stack go? And so we're just surviving. Like we're just trying to like go on to the next thing. So I really appreciate the reflection and then also being able to like celebrate the wins, to be able to see what didn't work, but not in a judgmental way, just like that curiosity of like, oh, okay, well, this didn't work, huh? Let me go ahead and try something else. So I just feel like I can understand why that, if you're like, if you do nothing else, start
It's
here,
it's
right?
the habit because it's really going to set you up
Yeah.
for success. It's like the corniest thing I could possibly say to you, but it is when you really think about how do you make a choice? Well, you have to know what your options are. If you don't pay attention to your options, you don't know what your options are. So that's the habit that you need to learn. And some people are like, "Oh, I'm not a big planner." I'm like, planning can be multi-leveled. Like you could be the planner that's through December. Or you could just be somebody that's at least 3 days out. It's like there's just a level of planning that you have to be able to take on as a mom. It's just, we got too many moving targets when you have more than one person you're in charge of. And you're right, your husband's probably not going to be the one saying, "Hey, did you start the batch of laundry?" That's probably going to be you. So you might want to plan for that.
Yeah. Oh, this is incredibly helpful. Again, I geek out on the topic, but I love seeing a framework and just sort of like your approach to it, geared specifically towards moms and understanding this mom life as you do. And I would love it if you could tell us how people can connect with you. I know you have some resources, so just tell us all the things that you want to
Sure.
share.
Well, I do have a website. I'm sure you'll drop some of the links in. I hang out on Instagram if you want to find me over there. But we have a free community. That's where a lot of the moms and I kind of chit chat and we really kind of lean into each other and just say, "Hey, what is your stack this week? What are you focused on? What are your routines? What are you looking to accomplish for your goals?" So the community is a great place for you to come hang out with me if you want to. I also have a reset planner for your community because I believe full-heartedly that sometimes we just need to get it all out. We need to throw it on the table. And so that planner is going to help them kind of put it out and resort it to give them a really good starting point, especially fall. We're going into a new season. So this is the perfect time for you to be thinking about how can I reset. So that planner will be for your community.
Wonderful. Yes, I will link everything in the show notes. And when when I was doing the podcast to profit coaching, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna figure out how to say your last name,
Oh
and I'm gonna
gosh.
remember it forever. So y'all, it's Perzel.
You do remember it.
Perzel.
Personal, yes.
Perzel. Yeah,
Personal.
I'll remember it for the rest of my life. I'll be like, do you remember? I'll be like 90 years old. I'm like, I remember Jess Perzel.
Personal. That's
But
it.
yeah, if you're looking at the last name, like, how do I? Yeah, that's how we do it.
That is
And
it.
yeah, I'll make sure to link to all of Jess's things in the show notes. But thank you so much, Jess, for being on the show. It was just an absolute delight chatting with you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hey Mama, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, could you please share this episode with another mom who is feeling overwhelmed? Also, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a 5-star written review wherever you listen to your podcast. Finally, if you would like more support, come on over to our free Facebook group, tinyurl.com/moms overcoming overwhelm. Can't wait to connect with you soon.